What's up, Brew Crew? This is Clay with Beer City Board Games. Today I'm here with my friend and the owner and founder of the GrandCon Game Convention, Brian Lenz. Brian, welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about GrandCon?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've been a lifelong gamer, both digitally and in the analog side. And it was about 11 years ago that I got the crazy idea of starting a convention.
Fell down the rabbit hole?
Fell down the rabbit hole. Yeah, yes. And it's been a lot of ups and downs, mostly ups. But it's been quite the adventure to get the show to where it's at today. But yeah, GrandCon's a fantastic endeavor, that's for sure.
Yeah. And just to preface it, this is my favorite game convention to attend, so this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have Brian on the show. So, can you give us a little bit of the history of GrandCon, where it started and how it's grown?
Yeah, started in 2012 is when formed the foundation for GrandCon. The idea was conceived, if you will, even a year before that. But it was just some communication between myself and a previous partner of the show. We both came to the conclusion that, based on a West Michigan Tabletop Gamers, which was a large game group that's still existing to this day, that there was a need for it. And we both were pursuing our endeavors. At the time, there was comics and arts involved, but I was the one that was really looking at hobby gaming and board gaming because there was just a lot of fun with that, and I love bringing people together and enjoying the hobby with other folks as well. But yeah, so it started in 2012, if you will, and now here we are in 2023. A lot of years of work, and that has brought us to this point.
Yeah. I've seen that. When I started going to GrandCon, it was originally held at the Crown Plaza Hotel.
Yep.
And then shortly after that, moved up to the DeVos Place Convention Center, which is a fantastic place for it.
It's a lot of room to grow.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell us a little bit about what kind of makes GrandCon different from some of the bigger conventions that you might see, like Origins or Gen Con or Essen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, for a regional show, it has a lot of that family kind of home style appeal. It's very intimate. You get a lot of one-on-one with the guests, with publishers, and then of course meeting and making new friends in the gaming world. The library is fantastic for this type of show. It's been considered as one of the best in the country. I've had a lot of folks in the industry, which always makes me smile a little bit, but a lot of folks in this industry have claimed that GrandCon is one of their favorite shows to attend and one of the best regional gaming conventions in the country as well. So that's very nice to hear. But it's a lot of hard work. And what makes it different is exactly that. It's just more intimate, more relaxing. It's not a hustle and a bustle. You're not dealing with thousands upon thousands of people.
Right.
The first time you attend, you may get a little disoriented, but it's easy to set that compass in the right direction and go.
Yep.
And everybody's there to help you out. From attendees to volunteers, everybody's there to help you out, get you going in the right direction. And it's not so vast of a space that, if you get planted in the middle of the 5 different large rooms, you can't figure out where you're going.
Right. Yeah. It's easy to get lost in some of the sea of people and the just overall scope of some of these big conventions.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I love about GrandCon is it is small, it's cozy, it's intimate, like you said.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still, we still see a few thousand people, which is, one of the bigger regional shows in the country for that matter. But it's, once again, it's not, 30,000, 50,000, 60,000 like some of these other larger shows. They have their purposes, and folks love to attend those. Personally, not to appear biased because it is, I love going to regional shows, period. It's my favorite type of venue to attend. You just have you have more of that connection time that you can spend with people and not be so, pressured, like, oh, I might be missing out on something.
Yeah.
So that makes GrandCon very different. And being planted downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan, there's a lot of really cool, locales to visit outside of the venue, and all within very close walking distance. Knock on wood, but every year the show it's always held in the first part of September, and it's just been gorgeous. I don't recall a time where, maybe a little Michigan gray skies.
Yeah. It's Michigan, so you can never really count on anything,
right? But it's always been just beautiful, and you're right on the river. There's just it's a nice, like, hey, I'm feeling a little bit, I need to motivate a bit. There's a lot to do in Grand Rapids, and being Beer City, USA as well.
Yes.
If you do partake of the brewskis, there's that opportunity close by. So for sure.
Yep, a lot of great breweries within walking distance of the convention center.
Yeah.
I could think of let's see, we've got New Holland is down that way. Atwater's almost right across the street. Yeah. We've got Founders, which is a really famous brewery that's local here.
There's things like House Rules Lounge, which is pretty cool. They serve the adult beverages, and then you can go in and play games while you're there as well. That's a really cool piece to add in. That's super close by as well. So if you want to go grab a bite to eat, they do serve food, and they're actually in the process of expanding their kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's done before this next coming GrandCon, but then you can get a wider variety of food choices along with your beverages, and maybe play a card game or two while you're there, and then scoot back to GrandCon.
Yeah.
So there's puzzle rooms close by.
Yep.
Nice eateries real close by.
Right across the street from House Rules, we've got the downtown market. Which is fantastic. They got Slow's Barbecue, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Tons of unique places to eat in there too.
So there's a lot to experience when you come to GrandCon, and you're not, like I said originally, you're not as pressured, which is nice. You can relax.
Right. It feels more like a vacation destination almost. You know what I mean?
Yes. And then with the current relationship I built with the Amway Grand Plaza, which is just a luxurious, beautiful hotel, one of the nicest hotels probably in all of Michigan, one of them, but the pricing is right. And you have a wonderful stay there, and it's just a skywalk over to the convention center, so you can't knock that.
I'm super excited because this is going to be our first year actually staying downtown in the Amway for GrandCon. I'm geeked.
Right?
I'm geeked.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear that. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be able to, set those things up for the attendees. And, and ultimately a regional show too is focusing on a lot of locals, right?
Right.
So you got people that can just drive in, they're less than 15, 20 minutes away. They just drive in, and parking downtown is, not the experience that you would have in a large metropolitan. You not have to fight traffic with like Chicago or New York City or something. Grand Rapids is still a good sized city, but finding a spot to park is pretty easy.
I've never had an issue finding a place to park for GrandCon. Even with the crowds, and even when there are other events going on downtown, still never had an issue with finding parking.
And point noted with that too is, I don't know, maybe this happens in other cities around other shows, not that I'm aware of, because for parking, right? So Grand Rapids has a setup. If you have an event, there's event discounted parking, which I've never heard of that. And I've known of it now for a few years because of the show. But so if you do come downtown, if you park, I believe it's at the you park under DeVos Place, and then across the way, which is the government parking ramp, you actually get discounted pricing for being at the event during that time. You go anywhere else, you go to Gen Con or,
You're paying out the nose.
You're paying premium. Let alone if you're staying in a hotel that's within walking distance, you're paying that valet parking of $50-$60 a day.
Right.
GrandCon's like $9, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
It's
so even if you do have to park downtown every day,
yeah,
you're not breaking the bank.
No. You're it's to be expected. I've had some folks over the years a little surprised by that, but it's just part of the business. It's part of the city culture.
Yep. So, who can attend GrandCon?
Who can't?
That might be a better question.
So to expand upon that, GrandCon is definitely different in most shows. Now I don't claim to have been to every show in the country. I'm quite familiar with a lot of shows in the country, but GrandCon is different in the way that it's accepted to all folks, families, kids. You can bring your little ones, but anybody can attend, and everybody's welcome. It's a community experience, and that's what I've focused on for years, is that building that community, building the friendships. I know behind the scenes you and I have gotten to know each other. There were a few times where you were able to help out GrandCon over the years, and that's community, right? That's helping develop something that is hobby driven, but family friendly. So like your young girls, they can attend. But the library that I have as far as the games caters to that. Yes. So there are games in there that are for the very young to the very mature like us. But so that is something that who can attend, anyone, and we're we'd love to see more and more diverse and inclusive situations for our community. But it's something to if you haven't experienced it, come on down. Have a good time with it. There are folks that will teach you games, which we call Learn to Play, and there's scheduled events. You can just walk around and there's little standy signs that will say, hey, looking for a player, looking for a teacher. So you can spot these signs on tables and you can walk up and I know sometimes it's a little difficult to approach someone you don't know, but if they're looking for some players or looking to be taught and this game, that's what it's for. And to know that, to know that all these folks there are generally there for the same purpose, right? Right.
Yeah.
So
shared interest.
That is in a nutshell. That's who can come. Anybody. It's open for that.
It is one of the friendliest conventions that I think I've ever been to. People will come up to you and just ask you about the game you're playing, and you can just sit there and have a conversation with a complete stranger, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. So you mentioned events.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding events for GrandCon?
So to iterate on that, it's a bit tricky at first if you don't know anything about this, right? So first and foremost, use your resources. There's the internet, which most part everybody has access to, and the internet provides our website, right? Mm-hmm. So you go to our website, which is www.grand-con.com. It's a little tricky because of the hyphen in there.
I will put the link to the website in the show notes.
So with that being said, you go to the website. The website's going to elaborate on a lot of the information about the show, guests for the year, exhibitors for the year, and there's also little buttons to buy badges, which takes you to our registration site. Once you get registered, and you don't have to buy your badge immediately, you do need to set up an account though with the registration site so you can get into it. Once you've done that, which is a simple process, using email, whatnot, once you've set it up under tabletop events, then you can go and look at GrandCon's convention umbrella, if you will, and then under that you can see where you can get tickets. It's a lot of planning, myself and then wonderful volunteers that help out the show. If GrandCon didn't have volunteers, the show would absolutely not happen.
Right.
But so it takes a lot, and I've done a majority of the work myself for years. So it's now becoming to a point where the volunteers are starting to help out more and more, which has been a blessing. But as far as going back to those events again, so we plan when the events will be able to be submitted, when you'll be able to buy the tickets, and then we notify if you sign up for our email. That's one way to keep in touch. So you go to the website, you can sign up for the email, which is produced and released once a month, usually in the middle of the month-ish. The email will come out, which will give you some more directed, pertinent information about what's going to happen with the current show that's for the year. And then, of course, at the registration site, you can look for tickets when those come available, and we let you know in the emails and Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, make sure you sign up for the fan page, the official fan page, and sign up for GrandCon's website as well, page for Facebook if you're on Facebook. Twitter's been an interesting show for the past 6 months or so we're not a big Twitter user, but it is out there, and then Instagram are some of the areas that you can find us. But with all those different avenues, and there's ways to email direct, for information and things like that if you have other questions, if you want to submit tournaments or other events. But all that is available through, go to the website. That's the central hub. You can keep up with things on social media with Facebook mostly, and then of course the website once again, and then go to the registration page and keep up with everything that's available as it gets released.
Yeah. And you had mentioned too that you have the stands for finding players.
Yeah.
Facebook also would be a great place to post that you're looking for a game or something like that. So you can use these social medias for sites for multiple.
And here's a little precursor that it's going to be, I don't know, spoiler.
Oh, we got a scoop?
You got a scoop. Yeah, you got a scoop. There is a Discord channel that is being developed right now. It's nearly finished. It's kind of soft launch, so anybody that happens to be watching, listening in, utilize the Discord. The Discord will be available to everybody. That way you can keep up, ping people on the Discord. Hey, looking for a game. Anybody know how to teach this game? Discord is there for a purpose. And it's also open all year round. I want to make sure folks are well aware of that. So that way you can get into the community and start just talking. So if you're local, that's a great way to keep in touch with people.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, we're going to, as I mentioned before, we're going to House Rules Lounge tonight to play some games. Anybody want to join up?
Yeah.
Looking forward to GrandCon. Will there be these events happening? I mean, you can keep in touch.
Again, building that community, right?
Building that community.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
That's
so
perfect.
There's a little scoop for you, but
fantastic.
Discord, there is the hot button for it on the website, which will take you to the Discord channel so you can sign up for it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
And then, peruse the information that's on the website. See what's out there, see what GrandCon's all about. Look at our policies, that are set out there. As far as DeVos Place is very particular and understandable. No smoking on campus and things like that. And there's plenty of places to go and enjoy your adult libations that are close by. But because it is family driven, there's just too many unfortunate opportunities, right. That we don't permit any drinking on campus with the show. I don't know many shows that do in the country, if any at all.
Right.
But going back to your question as well, it's just go to the website. If you're on Facebook, hook up on Facebook to the official fan page and the GrandCon page as well, and then go to the registration page. There you'd want to, if you're very interested in attending, you can find out the different badge pricing. There are a few different badge levels. We have a VIG, very important gamer badge, which earns you some cool games from a sponsor. You get a nice dinner presented to you, usually with a couple of the industry guests that are part of the show as well.
Yeah.
So that's a really fun, and I've been doing that for a few years now, and I have repeat attendees to that now.
Repeat VIGs.
Repeat VIGs, yeah, which is a really cool thing to see as well.
Yeah.
So
it's on my bucket list. one of these years.
So that is just a nice, fun gaming night, evening type of experience, and you get to hang with some of the industry guests. And I just sit back and enjoy that. Once again, that's a tighter knit, smaller community function. That's part of the show. But it doesn't stop anybody else from going out and having a good time, right?
Right.
And the show hours it's all day long, starting at 9-10 in the morning, going until midnight, day over day, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday ends. Of course, Sunday ends always around 4 or 5. But it's a whole weekend experience, and so that's part of the package you get for just buying a badge.
Yep.
So if you want to attend, buy a badge. Badge gets you into everything except for maybe charity events or some specialized tournaments, maybe a particular seminar. Sometimes we do have other events like a paint and take for families. Some of those events do have a small charge to them to help offset the costs that the show has to take on.
Right.
But they're very reasonable costs. So,
yeah.
But to attend, you got to buy a badge. That's it. It's pretty easy. You just go to the website and do it.
Yeah. And so that badge also gets them access to that fantastic games library.
Well, that's a good point.
Which we talked about a little.
No, it's been well curated over the years, and a lot of industry folks that have been to the show have come up to me or have said afterward that it is probably one of the best libraries they've seen in any show they've ever been to. And I've had a lot of industry folks attend the show over the years.
Yeah.
Dozens upon dozens. Which has been a pleasure. I've been in the industry for quite a number of years, and I've made some fantastic friends, and because of those friendships, it spurned on the opportunity for them to come to my show and then share their joy and their loves, right, with other people. So that's an opportunity you get, going back to that intimacy. You get a little bit more one-on-one time with these folks, in their special seminars and whatnot. But the library, it's 2,500 games and growing. My intention is to probably put a cap at around 3,000 because it's a lot of work.
Right.
There are several other regional shows. We have the BGG show down in Texas and Dice Tower show, and they have a little special bump because of their exposure to the industry. So that you can't compete with a 4,000 or 5,000 to 8,000 libraried game section to look at. I wouldn't want to deal with that.
Wouldn't want to manage that.
No,
yeah.
no. It's a ton of work. It's a ton of work.
Yeah.
And then you got to look at rotation and things like that. But what the nice thing about the library is, I mentioned earlier on, is that there's games in there for everybody, from the little ones to the big ones like us. And you can find that there's tons and tons of little small card games. I have racks upon racks upon racks. It literally, the library itself, it literally looks like a small library that you walk into and you look for games. And then if you're not sure, there are volunteers there to help point you in directions, to maybe suggest things for you. And then you as long as you have a badge for the show, you can walk up to the library registration desk and just check out a game like you would check out a book at any other library.
The library, right?
And you go sit at a table, and then there's these little stands that have little people on top that you can turn for a T for teach and a P for player, and you take those to your table, and you can sit at the table and you like, hey, I'm not quite sure how to, maybe somebody can teach me this quicker and I can read the rules.
Yeah.
Or, maybe there's players that you want to bring in because you're missing, you have 3 people and you want 5. So there's opportunity for that, and the library is, that's probably the central hub of the show. People have influence on like, hey, there's this game and that game. And it gives people an opportunity to play games maybe they haven't played yet. So you can go, you know what, this is a darn good game. I need to have this in my collection.
Yeah.
And then you go over to the vendors that are there and maybe purchase it there or get it somewhere else if you depending on the situation. But it's a fine opportunity to peruse games that you have never played or have been wanting to play, and they're there for you.
So speaking of exhibitors, what kind of exhibitors could people expect to see at a show like GrandCon?
Sure. Yeah, I've you walk the gamut of from creatives, artists, retail vendors, actual publishers of these games, and then when you go to creatives, you have all kinds of RPG elements for role-playing games. Mm-hmm. So there's dice and books, and you go on and on. So, and then there's some fantastic artists. So if you're into collecting art or you want a nice piece, you can commission somebody. If you're a budding designer or a budding publisher, there's opportunity for you to speak to these folks, to see what they've done to enlighten themselves and get deeper into the industry to help bolster what they're doing. So it's and that's you're not shoulder to shoulder and being ran over for time. You have time to hang out with these folks and talk with them. And so with that being said, you name it, anything hobby gaming related, is pretty much there. So role playing game elements, crafts of pop culture sources. I mean, last year we had a wonderful booth even for cotton candy. You'd think of cotton,
Oh, my kids went nuts
right?
when they saw that.
Right?
Yeah, that was the first booth you saw when you walked in.
Right,
It was the big cotton candy booth, and they loved that.
Yeah, that's that was something that was a little bit of a risk taking on my part. People like to have snacks when they're playing games, and obviously cotton candy is pretty sticky, so not always the best to have around games, but it worked out well. And those guys that ran that booth and owned that business had a fantastic time. They're coming back.
Great. Perfect.
For this year. And but so there's a couple maybe food vendors there as well. But for that matter, not to get too far away from the library. But I mean, there's also food on campus as well that you get, and drinks and stuff too. So if you just want to run out and grab a burger or a lemonade or something like that, it's right there for you.
Yep, right out of the hall, right around the corner.
For sure.
Easy enough to get food. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you don't even have to leave if you don't want to.
No,
you don't have to leave the convention center.
Most hardcore gamers like to plant themselves down in a seat, and that's where they'll hang out for most of the weekend.
Yep.
So yeah.
Now that's generally kind of how we do it. When we attend GrandCon, we will go in early in the morning, sit down, play a couple of games, then we'll break. We'll head out to one of the local eateries or a local brew pub, grab a bite, grab a drink, and then we come back, and then we game again until probably midnight. We're there until
when the doors
until
say,
we're told we can't be there anymore.
Yeah, for sure. You got the wonderful volunteers like, everybody go,
Please go home.
Yeah, we've been on our feet all day. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, no, it's part of the culture, part of the business.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. So how does a gamer in the community help GrandCon become a success?
One, attending. The obvious, right?
Yeah, that helps.
That helps. Enjoying the show to the point of being able to spread that type of love and appreciation to the rest of the community. It is a once a year show that's put together for the community. This isn't an opportunity for the particular groups that maybe you have your 3 to 4 to 5 gamers that you like to game with on a regular basis. This is a show to come support our hobby, passion, love, whatever you want to call it, exploration, discovery. This is a time to find other people that are in the industry or that love what the industry has to offer, brought together under one roof.
Yeah.
And that to me is what the show is about, right? I play plenty of games on my own time with many folks in the area throughout the year, but GrandCon is that one time to come hang with some industry guests and explore a library that you probably haven't seen as many games, but so that to me is what you'd want to talk to people about. Like, hey, GrandCon is our show. GrandCon is something that is put on for me, for you, for anyone else who wants to go. And how do you spread that news? I mean, just let folks know, like Facebook, direct them to the website, just talk to them about it. I put it together. I work hard for this to come together for the community, and the volunteers that help out put in a lot of their labor and love too, right? So this is because we have that much of a passion for what we do,
right?
At the end of the day, that's what you need to get out there. You could hit some of the local game stores. You could maybe even ask through the GrandCon information email, like, could I get some flyers to hand out to friends? We may eventually, once we get enough time on our hands, we may start posting PDF flyers that you could download yourself and print them out and maybe hand them out at your own little gatherings,
There you
that
go.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's ideas that we're kicking around to help spread the word, but really it's just communicating. Don't keep it to yourself.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. Let people know. And honestly, I mean, there have been times when I've talked to folks where they're like, "Yeah, I knew about the show," and they said, "But I forgot to mention it to my friends." So that's an important piece. And what does that do? Well, as GrandCon grows and the community grows, it means that we can bring in more attention to the show for people in the community and surrounding areas as well, meaning we can build a bigger show. I never want to see the show get beyond Origins or Gen Con size or Essence size.
Right.
I still want to keep that intimacy, that opportunity for people to come in and not feel bowled over because there's so many people and time is such of a precious issue.
Yeah.
I want it to be a relaxing weekend, and the more we spread the news, I can create a longer extension of days, going from a 3-day to a 4-day, which would be lovely to be able to do, maybe even a 5-day at some point. It's tough because people then have to treat it like a vacation when it comes to that. But at the same time, that's just, those are things I envision for the future. We'll see how far I go into the future as I exude the nature of a very young man, right? So, but yeah, but I mean that's kind of the baton that's going to be handed off to the next person that does pick up where GrandCon's left off. It's something that is out there for a community event. If you're going to go to a concert, you want to go to the zoo, you want to go to an art installation, exhibit or something like that. That you pay sometimes hundreds of dollars to do that, and it's a 3-hour experience.
Right.
With GrandCon right now, a badge before pre-registration, if you will, or early bird pricing, if you will. I mean, it's $40 for a badge for all weekend.
Right.
Right. All weekend, and you get to experience this community event all weekend.
Yes.
Kids get in for $5 all weekend. If you do the VIG, it's a couple $100, but you definitely get that
upgraded experience.
You get that upgraded experience, and it's well worth it.
Yeah.
It's actually beyond well worth it in my opinion, based on what you get.
In my opinion, GrandCon is probably the best value for what you get out of a convention experience.
Yeah.
For the price that you're paying for that badge.
And I appreciate that. It's tough because it's at the end of the day, it's still business and we still got to keep things afloat. But it's always been my personal drive to keep it as reasonable as possible for everybody. And there are a lot of folks that don't understand that. They'll like, oh my gosh, this is way expensive. Like, you haven't experienced these other shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You go to Origins, which is a reasonably priced show per se in comparison, but you're going to spend a few $1,000s just to go, between driving there, hotel space, buying your badge, food. I mean, Gen Con's way more.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So to go to GrandCon, you're only, if you live local, you're spending just a few bucks.
Yeah. Badge price.
If you're not local, you're spending a couple $100, or whatever. But that's your choice, right? That's at the end of the day.
And keeping that price low too. That opens the door for more folks to attend, right?
Yep.
Which is important.
And that's the other piece too. It's not a 1-day experience. It could be if that's what you choose. So
sure,
right. And there are 1-day badges, but the experience is meant for an entire weekend for the community, and spreading that news out there like that. It's still, at the end of the day, still ultimately your choice on how you want to attend or don't. But I highly encourage it. It's a great way to explore our community that we have here and help it grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one final thing, just to reiterate, if people are looking for information on GrandCon, where do they go?
Once again, it is www.grand-con.com. I'm sure Clay will put a link up there.
Links.
Yep. That is one place. You can go to Facebook, just type in GrandCon Gaming Convention. You'll find the official fan page, and you'll find the official page that you can like and follow. It's a good place for that. And then also going back to the website, at the bottom are the links for social medias, including the scoop of the Discord. Announced here officially, folks. But so there's just really 2 different channels to first initiate with, and then a few different other areas branched out from that to keep up with what's happening. The newsletter is ideal.
Yes.
So
newsletter's fantastic.
If you it's a once a month email. You're not inundated. You're not seeing an email twice a week or 3 times a week. You're seeing an email once a month. And it gives you some nice insight, some scoop that's going on with GrandCon and what's going to take place for the current year. So that's, I'd say, if anything, sign up for the email. If you don't want to follow along on Facebook, sign up for the email.
Yeah.
Right? And you do automatically, when you buy a badge to attend, you automatically get signed up for it, in which you can unsubscribe. Because I know we all see a lot of email these days. But it is, once again, it's a great way to keep up with what's happening, and so that's where I would say to go. But www.grand-con.com is the place to start.
All right, well, Brian, thanks so much for coming on and telling us a little bit about the show. If you're going to be at GrandCon this year, let us know in the comments below, and maybe you'll get to play a game with us. I know the Brew Crew is going to be there, so.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And until next time, let's get another round for the table. Hey everybody, don't forget to like and comment on this video. If you found value in this video at all, it would mean a lot to us if you consider subscribing to the channel as well. Don't forget to click the notification button so you'll know when we put out a new video. Cheers!